There's a lot of conversation right now about AI is going to take away the middle, right?
Right.
And I think AI will take away the middle of all of those details. Who's going to schedule and manage hours and do the accounting and the budgeting? AI can do a lot of that stuff. It's just not very good at being human.
When we were talking earlier, you touched on something that I'd love you to tell this audience a little bit more about. And we were talking about the fact that it, although it's time of immense change, it's also a time of immense possibility, and exactly for the people that are starting to rise and maybe are feeling stuck a little bit in middle management, but now there's this possibility that they don't have that hung up from management and from leaders, that it has to be a very directional leadership. They can be a lot more inclusive. They can be a lot more collaborative. Tell us a little bit more about that, because I know you were explaining it beautifully.
Well, I'll try to explain beautifully again. I think I think anytime there is disruption and chaos, there's also tremendous opportunity. And it's that opportunity that comes from imagination, from creativity, from collaboration, from maybe it's rare vision that you see the thing that no one else sees. But it's also, I think, what comes when people come together to identify the moment and the opportunities that are in the moment, rather than fixating on what's the crisis in front of us. So what's on the other side of that disruption, the other side of that crisis, that gives us a chance to learn and grow. And I think that if you think about most organizations where this is happening all over the organization, right, especially in larger companies, there is no singular view on that whole thing, whatever the whole thing is, right? People are experiencing these direct disruptions in micro moments and in very large ones. This is, I think, the opportunity for individuals at any level in the organization to say, hey, I have an idea. I see something a little bit differently. Could we try? Or I went home last night and I talked to Claude and it came up with these answers, and this one makes sense to me. Should we look at that further? I mean, there's an opportunity to be proactive. And I think it is an opportunity to really reclaim your agency as a member of a community and an organization. One of the gifts, if you will, of our pandemic years was that it gave people a lot of agency to in how they work and how they communicate with their coworkers. And so, like, embracing that agency to bring new solutions, new ideas, new direction to your collective team. I think that's one way people who might be in what we would traditionally call middle management roles can really differentiate themselves and stand out. And and so the real role of a manager in that middle level is, how do I work with the people around me, collaborate with those people to create new value? Is that something that AI is not going to do for you? It's not going to turn an empathetic ear to someone and really hear where they're coming from and see in them a lived experience that brings a new perspective that opens a door. And I know that kind of sounds a little vague when I say it that way, and that's partly deliberate because, again, we don't know what those doors are or what those experiences are. But I think we're moving from an economy where the role of the manager and the leader is to wring value out of all the resources, right, including human resources. And I think a lot of people who are burned out at work are often burned out because they've just been wrung dry. Right? And I think we're reaching a natural end to that kind of an economic model. And the new model that comes after that is one of collaborative creation. And so I think the opportunity, again, in that middle layer is to model that. What does collaborative creation, value creation look like? And how can all of the people in your organization have a voice in that? Because I think it's all of those really far-ranging opinions and life experiences that give us insight into where things might be going and where new opportunities lie. I think that executives who are looking at AI as a cost reduction mechanism are simply asking to obsolete themselves and their companies more quickly. One of the things that I always get some funny looks when I'm talking to executive teams, leadership teams. I think, what is AI really, really good at? It's good at making decisions. What do CEOs do? They make decisions. So whose job is going to be most affected by AI? And you want to say, oh, it's all those early coders, those guys, we can get rid of them. I'm not so sure that's the answer. And so I think we need to rethink what these tools are for, how we use them, how they create advantage and opportunity in our organization, not just how they help us automate things so that things will be cheaper to run.